You are drowning in the quiet poison of permission. You whisper to yourself that you are not ready, that the moment has not arrived, that you lack the proof, the sign, the validation before you may finally step forward. And this lie has calcified into your bones until it feels like truth, like humility, like wisdom. When in fact it is nothing but cowardice masquerading as caution. You wait for confidence to arrive like a gift wrapped in certainty, delivered by external assurance, handed to you only after you have checked every box, silenced every critic, and eliminated every risk. But confidence is not given, it is taken. Seized in the raw moment, you decide that your fear no longer gets to vote. You think confidence blooms in comfort, that it grows in the safe soil of preparation and permission. But confidence is forged only in the fire of action taken without guarantee, in the terrifying void between who you are and who you refuse to remain. Every hesitation you justify as prudence is a betrayal of your own potential. Every delayed declaration is a silent surrender to the tyranny of doubt, and you have mistaken safety for survival, when in truth safety is the slow death of the self. You beg the world for a signal that you are worthy, but worthiness is not conferred. It is claimed, violently, irrevocably, by those who stop asking and start becoming. You hide behind realism as if it were virtue, when it is merely the intellectual costume of the defeated, the polished excuse of those who would rather be right than rise. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it is the annihilation of difference. It is the moment you cease negotiating with your inadequacy, and instead command your existence with the full weight of your will. You do not earn confidence through success, you earn success through the audacity of confidence, the unshakable posture that says, I am here, and that is enough, even when every echo in your skull screams otherwise. Stop waiting for your trembling to cease. You will not find stillness by cowering in the shadows of your own potential. Stillness is found only on the other side of motion, on the far edge of the leap you keep postponing. The world does not reward the qualified, it bows to the bold, to those who speak with the authority of self-trust, even when their knees shake, even when their voice cracks, even when no one is listening. Especially then, you are not lacking talent, you are lacking sovereignty. You have outsourced your authority to every external metric, every imagined jury, every phantom standard that lives only in the theater of your anxiety. Tear down that courtroom, banish the judges. You are the only witness your life requires, and the only verdict that matters is the one you pronounce over yourself. Confidence is not a mood, it is a covenant, a vow made in blood and bone to stand by your own side, no matter the storm, to trust your instincts, even when they lead you into unfamiliar territory, to believe in your capacity, even when the evidence is thin, because evidence is built by those who dare, not by those who deliberate. You think humility means shrinking, but true humility is knowing your limits only so you can shatter them. Not out of arrogance, but out of reverence for the life you were given and the duty to wield it without apology. To refuse your power is not modesty, it is malice against your own soul. Every time you mute your voice, dim your light, or retreat from the full expression of your ambition, you commit a quiet violence against the very core of who you could be. There is no noble restraint in silence when truth demands speech. There is no virtue in invisibility when your presence is the missing spark. Confidence is not loudness, it is alignment. It is the terrifying clarity that comes when you stop performing for approval and start living from conviction. You do not need more time, you do not need more permission, you do not need more proof. You need only the ruthless decision to stop negotiating with your fear and to step into the arena of your life as if you belong there. Because you do, not by invitation, but by birthright. The cost of hesitation is your future self watching from the ruins of what could have been, wondering why you chose comfort over courage, why you traded legacy for the illusion of safety. Do not let your epitaph read. Here lies potential that waited too long. Confidence is the bridge between intention and impact, and you build it plank by plank with every choice to act as if you already believe in yourself. So stand, speak, move, create, claim. Not when you feel ready, now, while your heart hammers and your hands tremble because you flinch, not from pain, but from possibility. You fold inward, tucking your voice beneath layers of maybe later, not yet. Who am I to? As if modesty could absolve you of the crime of untapped power. This is not humility. It is betrayal. A betrayal of the raw, roaring potential that pulses in your veins every time you dare to imagine yourself greater than your current shape. You confuse the absence of external validation with evidence of your inadequacy, as though your worth must be stamped by strangers before you're allowed to claim it. Confidence does not ask for proof, it is the proof. It does not wait for applause, it creates the silence that demands attention. You think confidence is reserved for the flawless, the fearless, the already victorious, but that is the lie you tell yourself to justify staying small. Confidence belongs to those who act in spite of fracture, who speak in spite of shaking, who stand even when the architecture of their certainty is still under construction. You are not required to have all the answers, you are required to refuse the paralysis of not having them. The path is never clear until you step onto it, the voice is never steady until you use it. The self is never solid until you stop apologizing for its edges. Stop treating confidence like a reward at the end of a long road of perfection. It is the first step, not the last. It is not what you earn when you finally become enough. It is the defiant assertion that you are enough now, even if the world hasn't noticed. Even if your hands still tremble, even if your reflection still blinks back in disbelief. You do not become confident by eliminating doubt. You become confident by moving faster than doubt can catch you. Every second you spend rehearsing your unworthiness in the dark theater of your mind is a second stolen from the life you could be living out loud. And what life is that? One where you cease to negotiate with your own power. One where you stop offering your truth in apologetic whispers and begin delivering it like a verdict. Confidence is not charm, it is command. Not over others, but over your own consent to exist fully in your skin, in your purpose, and your right to take up space without shrinking for the comfort of those who fear your light. You imagine confidence is loud, but often its greatest act is silent. The refusal to retreat, the refusal to flinch, the refusal to edit yourself into something palatable. Your hesitation is not wisdom. It is worship of safety. And safety is a false god that demands your vitality as sacrifice. There is no sanctuary in waiting. There is only erosion every moment you postpone your boldness. You feed the narrative that you are not ready. And that story will grow teeth if you let it. So burn it. Burn the script that says you must be polished before you are seen. Burn the myth that confidence is the absence of vulnerability. Confidence is vulnerability with its fists clenched and its eyes wide open. It is choosing to be seen fully, messily, unapologetically, knowing that some will misunderstand, some will mock, some will look away. And none of that matters compared to the weight of your own self-abandonment. You were not born to be a footnote in your own life. You were born to be a force, to speak, to build, to challenge, to ignite, and you cannot do that from the shadows of your own reluctance. So stop measuring your readiness against impossible standards. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Confidence is not comparative, it is absolute. It is the quiet, unshakable knowing that your presence alone is a contribution, that your voice alone is a disruption, that your mere willingness to show up changes the geometry of every room you enter. The world does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present fully, fiercely, uncompromisingly. So plant your feet, lift your chin, speak your truth like it's the last breath you'll ever take. Let your uncertainty tremble in your knees, but let your will stand like bedrock. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of purpose so fierce that fear becomes irrelevant. And if you walk away remembering nothing else, remember this. You have tasted the fire. You have spoken your truth into the void and felt the trembling resolve that follows. But now comes the true test, not the first declaration, but the 1,000th repetition when no one remembers your name and no echo returns. Confidence is not sustained by lightning strikes of inspiration. It is built in the monastic discipline of showing up when the world has gone quiet, when the
initial roar of your awakening has faded into the hum of daily choice. You mistake consistency for monotony, as if the sacred act of returning again and again to your purpose is somehow less noble than the grand gesture. But the grand gesture is worthless without the grind that guards it. You want to be seen as unshakable, yet you vanish at the first sign of invisible labor. True confidence does not perform, it persists. It is the quiet refusal to abandon your word to yourself, even when external validation evaporates and doubt returns dressed as reason. You will be tempted to reinterpret your silence as strategy or retreat as wisdom. But there is no wisdom in betrayal, even when it wears the mask of realism. The path does not widen for the hesitant, it narrows, sharpening into a blade that only the committed can walk in you. You must walk it not because you are certain of the destination, but because you are certain of your refusal to stand still. You still measure your worth in outcomes, in likes and replies and visible returns. But confidence divorces itself from the economy of recognition. It does not trade in receipts, it invests in integrity. You act not because it works, but because it is true. You speak not because you are heard, but because silence would be a lie. Your allegiance is not to success, it is to alignment, and alignment does not bargain with results. It demands presence, full, unedited, unapologetic presence. Even when presence feels like exposure, even when it feels like folly. You will feel foolish. Good folly is the midwife of transformation. Only those willing to look foolish in the eyes of the sleeping world ever wake up enough to change it. Stop curating your courage for safe audience, since the real test is not in the circle that cheers you. It is in the room that challenges you. In the moment your instinct is to shrink, but you choose to expand instead. That is where confidence earns its name, not in comfort, but in confrontation with others. Yes, but more ferociously with the part of you that still begs for cover. You are not weak because you feel fear. You are weak only when you let fear dictate your boundaries. And those boundaries were never real to begin with. They were stories you told yourself to avoid the weight of your own magnitude. Tear them down not once but daily. Every morning decide again that you will not negotiate your essence for the sake of ease. Every night honor yourself not for what you achieve, but for whether you remained faithful to your inner directive. Confidence is fidelity to the unseen self. The self that knows even when the world denies. You do not need proof, you do not need premise, you do not need consensus. You need only the unbreakable covenant with your own will that you will not abandon your vision, your voice, your vitality, not for approval, not for safety, not even for peace. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the presence of congruence, and congruence is earned through relentless self-honesty. So stop editing your soul to fit the page, write your truth in ink that cannot be erased even when your hand shakes. The world will try to soften you, to sand down your edges until you are smooth, silent, and safe. Do not let it. Your sharpness is your gift, not despite its danger, but because of it. Stand again and again. Not because you are unafraid, but because you have chosen something greater than fear. The uncompromising right to exist as you are, without apology, without delay, without retreat. The path is yours, not because it is easy, but because you say so. Now walk it, not as a guest, but as its maker.
You sit there, wrapped in the soft shroud of your own hesitation, whispering to yourself that you're not ready, that the moment hasn't come, that the world hasn't aligned, that your hands aren't steady enough, your voice not strong enough, your mind not clear enough. This is not caution. It is cowardice dressed in the robes of reason. You mistake the trembling of your spirit for wisdom, when it is nothing but the rusted chain of doubt dragging behind you, slowing your every step toward becoming what you were meant to be. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the absolute refusal to let fear dictate your posture in the face of what must be done. You do not wait for certainty. You create it with your stride, with your word, with the unshakable gravity of your presence. The world does not grant you confidence as a reward for preparation. It yields to you only when you declare yourself worthy before you feel it. Only when you plant your feet and say, I am here, and I will not be moved.
even as the ground beneath you shakes. Stop asking for permission from your own timidity. Stop begging your reflection for reassurance. Confidence is not earned, it is seized. It does not bloom in the greenhouse of comfort. It erupts in the scorched earth of decisive action, where every step forward is a war cry against the silence of your self-doubt. You believe you need more time, more knowledge, more validation. But what you truly need is the brutal honesty to admit that you are using, not ready, as a shield against the terrifying vulnerability of trying and failing. And yet, failure is not the enemy of confidence. It is its forge. Every stumble, every misstep, every moment you rise with ash on your lips is another layer of steel wrapped around your spine. You think those you admire were born unshakable. They were not. They simply chose, again and again, to act as if they were, until the act became the truth. Confidence is a verb, not a state of being. It is not something you possess. It is something you do, relentlessly. Even when your knees knock, even when your voice cracks, even when the eyes of the world seem to pierce through your facade and that facade. It is not deception. It is declaration. You wear it until it becomes your skin, until the mask and the man are one. Do not confuse humility with self-erasure. Do not confuse awareness of your limits with surrender to them. To know your flaws is human. To let them anchor you is spiritual suicide. You owe it to the raw, untamed potential within you to stop apologizing for your size, your ambition, your fire. The world does not need a smaller version of you. It needs the full, unfiltered roar of your conviction. Stop folding yourself into corners to make others comfortable. Stop shrinking your voice so it doesn't disturb the fragile egos around you. Confidence is not arrogance. It is fidelity to your own existence. It is the sacred act of refusing to betray yourself for the sake of fleeting approval. Every time you mute your truth, every time you soften your stance, every time you whisper instead of speaking, you commit a quiet murder of your soul. And for what? For safety. There is no safety in silence. There is only decay. The price of confidence is high. It demands that you stand alone sometimes, that you risk ridicule, that you face the void and stare back without flinching. But the cost of its absence is far greater. A life half-lived, a voice never heard, a presence never felt. You were not made to fade. You were not crafted to dissolve into the background of your own story. You are here, to be seen, to be heard, to leave an imprint so undeniable that time itself must reckon with your passings. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop negotiating with your own greatness. Step into the arena naked of guarantees, armed only with the unyielding belief that you belong there. Let your hands shake, act anyway. Let your heart race, speak anyway. Let the path be unclear, walk anyway. Confidence is not the absence of trembling. It is the decision that your purpose matters more than your fear, and if you still hesitate, ask yourself this: what will your life say when it's over? That you played it safe, that you whispered your dreams into pillows so no one would laugh? Or that you stood, even once, with your chest open to the storm and said, I am here, and I am enough. Enough is not a measurement. It is a decision. Make it. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. While your heart pounds like a war drum and your soul screams for release. Be confident not because you are certain, but because you refuse to be anything less than whole. The world needs your fire. Stop hiding the flame. Let it burn.